If you're a developer, a student, or just someone curious about how far AI can go in writing code, you've probably come across Claude Code, OpenAI Codex, or Cursor. But which one is actually useful in real development workflow? Which one explains better, writes cleaner code, integrates seamlessly, and adapts to your style of working? Today, we're not just comparing features. We're walking through the full experience of each. I'll talk about how they perform, what they get right, where they struggle, and who they're really best for. This is Claude Code versus OpenAI Codex versus Cursor. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one is worth your time and why. Let's start with Claude Code. Claude Code is built on the Claude model by Anthropic, and it's incredibly strong in areas like long context understanding, clarity, and cautious code generation. Using Claude for programming feels like having a teaching assistant who actually knows what they're talking about. It's especially helpful when you're trying to understand code, not just write it. You can paste a messy Python function and ask, "What is this doing?" And Claude will break it down step by step, explaining each block in plain English. It's not about speed, it's about depth. Claude will actually suggest better naming conventions, point out logical flaws, and sometimes restructure entire blocks to make them easier to follow. It's great at abstract logic too. Sorting, recursion, tree traversal, API call structure. It doesn't just give answers, it gives reasoning. Let's say you're building a Django model and you want to ensure foreign key behavior is consistent. Claude will explain the implications in a really digestible way. And if you ask, "Can you test this?" Claude won't just generate a test. It will tell you why each case is necessary. But there's a trade-off. Claude doesn't integrate into your IDE. At least not yet. You'll mostly be using it in a web interface like Claude AI or a third-party tool with Claude integration. That means lots of copying and pasting, and no autocomplete or real-time suggestions like in Codex or Cursor. Also, Claude tends to be very cautious. It might refuse to complete a prompt if it thinks it could be unsafe or if you're asking for something ambiguous. Still, this model is great when you want a second pair of eyes. When you're doing code reviews, working with legacy projects, or simply trying to wrap your head around why something broke. It's also brilliant for refactoring large files. Drop in 500 lines, ask, "How can I break this into modules?" and it won't panic. It'll parse, segment, explain, and return something usable. It even explains code in languages you don't know. I once pasted a block of unfamiliar Rust code into Claude, and not only did it explain what each method did, it clarified why ownership and borrowing rules mattered in that context. Now let's talk about OpenAI Codex, which powers GitHub Copilot. This tool is all about speed and efficiency. It runs inside VS Code or JetBrains, and the moment you start typing, it starts helping. Think of it like autocomplete on steroids. You can type just a comment and Copilot will write the whole function. And that's not even the cool part. It keeps learning from what you type. So the more you work on a file, the smarter its predictions become. Codex is amazing for small tasks that add up. Creating boilerplate, converting data formats, creating API routes, writing repetitive code, it saves minutes in every corner of your project. It even helps with writing documentation, generating markdown for readmes, and crafting unit tests if you provide function signatures. One time I was working on a Flask project and needed about 10 different API endpoints. I typed in comments for each and let Copilot handle the generation, and it did a solid job for all 10. But it's not perfect. Codex sometimes hallucinates, like suggesting non-existent methods or misusing libraries. It might reference a method that only exists in an outdated version of a package. Also, while it's fast, it's not always thoughtful. It won't explain itself unless you use Copilot Chat, and even then, the explanations are sometimes shallow. The real strength of Codex is that it fits into your workflow. No need to leave your IDE, no need to reformat code for a chatbot. It just works with what you're doing. And the speed of generation is honestly addicting. It's like having a tireless junior dev constantly offering to write stuff for you. But remember, it's only as good as your prompts and supervision. If you don't already have a basic grasp of what you want, you can get nonsense or insecure code. Also, it has limited long-range memory. Codex doesn't really understand what's in 5 different files unless you open them and actively interact with them. So if you want pure generation muscle, Codex is your tool. But if you want discussion, teaching, or multi-fold understanding, you'll need to look elsewhere, or add another tool into the mix. Finally, let's explore Cursor, which isn't a model but a full-fledged AI coding IDE. It looks and feels like VS Code, but it adds Claude or GPT-based intelligence into everything. You can choose which model you want to use, so you can switch between Claude's reasoning and GPT's fast generation depending on the task. Everything in Cursor is about context. Highlight a function and ask for a refactor. Select a block and ask what's wrong here. Click on a variable and ask where is this defined, and it knows. This is the closest thing we have right now to a fully AI-assisted coding environment. No tab switching, no pasting into a chatbot, it's all right in front of you. Cursor also tracks your file history, understands your file tree, and maintains internal awareness of your project as it grows. You can do a project sweep and ask things like what parts of this app could benefit from better error handling, and Cursor can give real suggestions based on all the files it sees. Of course, Cursor has its quirks too. It's a newer tool, so some features are still in beta. The plugin ecosystem isn't as wide as VS Code, and if you don't have API access to GPT-4 or Claude, you'll be limited to lower-tier models. But honestly, it's already incredibly powerful. If you're someone who switches between brainstorming, writing, debugging, and documenting, Cursor keeps all that under one roof. It's especially great if you're working solo and want to stay in flow. 1 minute you're writing, and the next minute you're asking, hey, can you rename this function across the code base and update the docs? And it does it. So which one is best? Use Claude Code if you want clarity, structure, and thoughtful explanations. Claude helps you break down complex logic, understand what your code is doing, and even spot design flaws before you write a single line. It's great for people who enjoy asking why and want an AI that not only gives answers but teaches along the way. If you're learning to code or trying to deepen your understanding of algorithms, Claude is like having a calm, patient teacher who never gets tired. Use Codex if you want speed, autocomplete, and boilerplate generation inside your IDE. Codex is the go-to if you're already confident in what you're doing and just want to code faster without typing every function by hand. It excels at filling in the gaps, writing repetitive code, and helping you move quickly from idea to working prototype. For things like scaffolding a web app, generating CRUD operations, or writing tests, Codex can really accelerate your workflow. Use Cursor if you want everything in one place: reasoning, generation, fixes, and full code-based navigation. Cursor brings the best of both worlds by combining Claude's reasoning or Codex's power right inside a familiar coding environment. It's perfect for people who want AI to be seamlessly integrated into every part of their workflow without having to switch tabs or tools. You can ask questions, make edits, refactor functions, and search across your entire project using natural language. At the end of the day, it's not about which tool is objectively better. It's about which tool helps you write better code faster and with more confidence. If you're serious about improving as a developer, try all three. Combine their strengths and build your own workflow. This has been How to Literally, where we keep it smart, simple, and scam-free. See you in the next one.